Oh boy, here we are again. Here we are, here we go. Is my chat still gonna be broken? Hell yeah, it is. Of course it is. Why would it not be? I don't know why Streamlabs hates me. Maybe I forgot to update Streamlabs or something. Who could say? Either way, hello to anyone who is here now or in the future playing some more R Life. Alrighty. Alright. There we go. Now I've got everything up. I wish my Streamlabs chat would work right now, but it absolutely will not, so guess I will just have to keep my phone open on the side. Yeah, so we are playing more R Life today. Yeah. Whoop. Bump the mic. Whoops. I'm a couple minutes late today because I was setting up that little follower goal there, since I just realized after looking at my account that apparently I have met all the requirements for Twitch affiliate, which is great, except for I don't have 50 followers, so we'll see if we can get there. I set the date that I'm waiting for the goal to be met by as my birthday, which is March 6th, so we'll see if I can hit that goal by the 6th. Pretty cool, pretty dope. Well, yeah. Get 50 followers, scrub. That's the idea. That's the goal. I would like to see that happen. I would love to get 50 followers because then I can apply for affiliate, which would be great. Oh, also, in between now and last stream, I actually went through and did everything again to get back to where I stopped because I realized that I didn't change the main character Lewis's appearance at all since he's grown up, and that felt kind of stupid. So, here, I got a picture of it on my phone. I hope you can see it. I changed him so now he looks like this, because that's closest to what I would imagine he looks like when he grows up. He dyed his hair blue, and he's got a little bit of his natural black hair at the back. That's the only change. That's the only thing I did. So I literally went back just so I could do that, and I redid the entire rest of the game. It's great. I didn't redo the whole thing, but from where I last saved. Purchase the followers from this totally legit link. Of course. Good point, Bagel. I can just purchase my followers. That's legal and moral. Hi, Anna. Hello. Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all here again. Alright, so yes. We will be continuing more Our Life. This was the one. I stopped midway last night, or not last night, last Saturday, because it got really late, and I didn't I didn't anticipate it going that long, so I just sort of stopped here last time. It was right after we'd met Baxter. You took a break from Fire Emblem for me? That is the highest compliment I have received all week. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Trust me, I know how hard that is. To take a break from Fire Emblem for anything. I took a break from Fire Emblem to stream this. Fine, I'll create 30 plus accounts, twist my arm as a mate. Yeah, thanks, Bagel. Your 30 burner accounts will get me to my goal very fast. Of course, of course. Hey, let's make Cal cry again. No thank you, Alex. You made me cry on Christmas by saying nice things to me, and I don't no. I don't need that again. Niceness overwhelms me. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yes, so where we last left off in the wonderful world of Our Life is we had just met Baxter, and Cove was low-key kind of flirting with us for the first time, now that we've established us as actually flirting with each other. Shockingly. Time for supreme bullying. Cal, your hat is dumb. Ow. It's so dumb it makes me mad. Oh. Oh wow, such bully, much wow. Okay. A little while later, you and Cove reached a main street in town. All of a sudden, you stopped walking. Was there anything important before this? I don't think so. Yeah, no. No, yeah, we just made our way into town. Okay, good. What's wrong? I think I felt my phone vibrate. Oh, that's a mood. I always think I feel it, and then it's not actually... No one actually ever contacts me. I'm kidding. You dug your cell phone out and looked at it with a satisfied grin. There was a new message. You opened the new text from Miranda, and all you saw was, I can see you. Miranda, that's creepy. Immediately from where you stood, you started swiveling your head around. You couldn't spot Miranda anywhere, but she did send you more messages. Haha, I see you looking. Where are you? Come on. Really, Randy? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. It's options. Okay. ... Okay, haha, come on. The message was sent and you were back to looking around, scanning for any sign of movement in familiar faces, but they were still invisible. Cove looked at you carefully, raising an eyebrow. I'll just scream, Miranda! Come out! Don't listen to them, your hat is great, I'ma steal it. Hi, Meg. I know. Okay, legit though, this hat. Everyone always compliments this hat. It's just Bagel's the only one who hates it, I swear to God. I'll meet random people and they'll be like, wow, that hat's really cool. I'm like, it is, but why does everyone specifically always compliment this hat? I don't know, man. Whatever, I'll accept it. It is a cool hat. It is a cool hat, Bagel. Okay. You sent your own joking text. If you want to keep hiding, Cove and I can just go and do our own stuff without you, is what you decided on. You smirked, hitting send on that message. Cove looked at you, curious, raising an eyebrow. What's happening? Before you could even begin explaining anything to Cove, you both snapped your attention to the yelling from across the street. And there you saw Miranda and this mysterious Terry, who we've heard about, coming out from behind the backside wall of the grocery store, rather. They both started waving widely to draw even more attention to themselves. Cove took a step in their direction. Grinning, he put his hands around his mouth to better project his message across the street. Hey! Laughing and arm in arm, the girls stopped only to look both ways and then rushed across the empty street. Okay, I'm glad that they looked both ways. Traffic safety.
Hi.
Bagel is valid and I will not stand for this Bagel slander. It's his shower cap. Very rude of him to wear it while streaming. Ah, yes. I just wear a toque in the shower, because that's what you do. Not that I even need a shower cap. I'm literally bald. What would I use a shower cap for? Ridiculous. Hi, I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hey, buddies.
Oh, that's Terry. Hi. That joke was not funny. Just be really upset. I thought you both knew better than to jaywalk. I'm amazed. How did you appear out of nowhere like that? They started giggling again. Terry glanced to Miranda, wondering what their story should be.
Ooh.
It was magic. Gesturing in a vaguely whimsical manner, Terry went along with the decision. And magicians never reveal their secrets. Ooh. That's fair. Terry then closed the distance between her and Cove and crushed him in a painfully tight hug. You're finally here. It's been so long. What took you? He did his best to eke out a reply with his chest being compressed.
Sorry.
Eventually, she let him go. Terry looked at him with a beaming smile, but Cove was distracted, rubbing his arms. Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her other hip. She watched Cove patiently with a bashful smile. Welcome back. Thanks. It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you would have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either.
So?
Cove? Terry poked Cove square in the chest. You're gonna have to get me your schedule by this time yesterday.
No way.
That's not really possible, Terry. But I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you I'm busy with ORCA activities. Is it Orca or ORCA? I mean, I get why it's called Orca, because I'm guessing it's something water-based, but who knows? To be frank, Took, or however you spell it, does sound like a silly shower tool. Don't you call question upon my Canadianisms. Alright, let's see. When Cove wasn't at his part-time job or pursuing his athletic and academic interests, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California affiliation, ORCA, or ORCA. I don't know which one it is. I'm just going to call it ORCA because that's easier. And I was right, of course, it is about the ocean, because, yes. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when he started getting involved with them. Oh, we can choose whether we want to be a part of that or not. Yeah, we'll say I joined too after learning of it, because that sounds cool. Their big Smash event for the year is coming right up, isn't it? Yeah, there's not much to do before then, but I'm kind of looking forward to the fundraiser push. Hopefully we can pull it off. If anyone can do it, it's you two. And even if it goes really bad, it'll still look good on a college application, at least. That's true.
Hey.
Hey, guess what else? We don't have to stand here to say stuff. Let's go. I would like a meal now. Perking up, Cove nodded in agreement. Yeah, for sure. The four of you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way. The only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed by in the blink of an eye. When night fell, it was time to head home, and you parted ways with Miranda and Terry. It's the Canadian hat for me, Chief. Canada doesn't exist. Oh, crap, they're on to me. I mean, doesn't exist? What are you talking about? You see this house behind me? This isn't a set piece. I live in Canada, which is real. You and Cove reached your neighborhood without event. It was late enough that your out-of-the-way street was dark and silent. Stroll with a skip in your step, you amble along. Oh my god, there's so many opportunities for Cove to give me a piggyback, but I feel like I've had too many at this point. We'll say... I would be pretty excited given the day, so I strolled along with a skip in my step. Days like today, filled with good food and good company, left you feeling energized. As you walked alongside Cove, you peered at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wondered why he felt so distant to you. It was out of character. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. Here, I'll turn up the... No, not return to menu. I'll turn up the music a little bit, because I know I keep it pretty quiet usually. There we go. Sure. Canada, Minnesota. Bum, bum, bum. He's North Montanian. Is Canada just northern United States? It's North United States to you? I was gonna say North America, but no, that's the continent we're on currently, so I guess that doesn't work. Okay. It surprised you when you did hear his voice all of a sudden. He still wouldn't look at you. Oh? It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same. And they're not. They've changed. They're still changing. Your mouth felt uncomfortably dry all of a sudden. It was true. The things that kept the person you knew together were starting to disappear. Or the people you knew together, rather. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now that it wasn't set for them. You thought about your own immediate future. You'd been considering more and more, and ideas were starting to settle in your mind. You hoped... Ooh. What does Lewis hope for? The school full-time, part-time, work full-time, work part-time, focus on time that's not school or work. We'll say to work full-time, because that's what I did out of high school. And to focus on time that's not school or work, and that was the basics. For your career, you thought you'd... Oh boy. Contract work, start your own business, work online, find a company to work at. For Lewis, we'll say work online. That would be more his shtick. Yeah, and that was all. For yourself, you wanted to... Try to figure out what you truly want. And take some time to just relax. And for that, you wanted to... Travel around to different places, maybe. Or maybe stay local. So many choices. You wanted to... We'll say stay local. It'd all be happening so soon. You'd started to prepare for what was coming next. Oh my god, there's so many options. I'm sweating. And you'd been open about your situation. We'll say you were open and everyone knew. Now you wondered what Cove had in his mind, or had in mind. You'd heard him considering some things for his future, but it was never anything that would have counted as a real plan. Making it back home, you both stopped in the middle of the street. Cove sighed. Cove looked at the ground for a moment. His mouth trembled, trying to settle on the right words to say. So, are you still thinking about relaxing for a while and stuff in Sunset Bird? Yeah. Cove closed his eyes and nodded while he composed his thoughts. He looked at you when he lifted his head.
I mean...
I decided on something. Well, kind of. He smiled slightly and rubbed his arm. Then his expression grew more serious. I'm not gonna decide on a school or a career. Not this summer. I'm gonna stay here, at least in Sunset Bird. I'll probably move out of my dad's place. I'll keep working my job and keep doing my volunteer stuff and everything else.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll know what I want for myself by fall or next year. Or maybe I'll never have a plan. Life will continue on with whatever's happening. I'm not gonna crush myself trying to have everything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it. His brow furrowed and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him.
I guess.
I feel that. I guess it'll be me and you, right here for a while longer. His eyes were glossy. You weren't going to be separated, and that meant a very great deal to him. Cute. You nodded understandingly. Cove sighed. He looked relieved that you understood. I'll see you tomorrow, Lewis. I'll see you. Good night.
Good night.
Then Cove started walking away, but you remained there, frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered, how many more times will he be able to say that he'll see you tomorrow? You hoped for countless more times. Finally, you turned toward your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most out of every moment you had this summer. Ooh. Alright, so right now we have 5 options. God, I envy Cove's approach, even if he's nervous. I try to be the same, but I don't always succeed. I mean, it's hard, like, because it's true on the one hand, right, that it's it's almost a bit ridiculous to think that you can have everything sort of planned out and figured out, especially that soon after school. But then on the same hand, sort of flying by the seat of your pants and not having any plan can kind of be really, really scary. I'm a bit of a middle ground, especially since I didn't go to school and have no plans to. It's kind of like I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but I did at least have the plan of, okay, I'm gonna move out, I'm gonna have my own job and that kind of thing, which I mean I guess is kind of what Cove did or is planning to do in this, so makes sense. But yeah, with that in mind, we got 5 options here. So I can't remember, is the DLC for this one out yet, or is that still coming? Same with the next step. Either way, let's do, if anyone doesn't have one particular, I think I want to do hang, because that little icon looks weird. You grabbed the large beach towel from off your bed and stuffed it into a bag. You'd already packed up your water bottle for your upcoming beach hangout session. The stars had aligned, and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. You were hoping that this would be a fun time together. Ah, shirtless Cove. I wasn't expecting that. Oh my god, of course he's sitting on my windowsill. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He already had his swimsuit on, and his towel was bundled under his arm in a misshapen ball. He'd shown up earlier that morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as you caught up to his preparation. But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere. It had disappeared. I had no idea what I was going to do. What happened to all your other swimsuits? I know that's not your only one. Cove looked away and shrugged. I might have some laundry to do. Anyways, I don't know why it was in the bathroom when I never put it there. He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. You now could see that it had been folded at some point, but then rolled up and carried without much care. I can't speak.
I'm so glad.
I'm just glad I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks. It was nice to see Cove so happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. You walked over to your dresser and mused about how you had picked out your own swimsuit. Luckily, since you were average height, you only needed to worry about finding the right size. When it came to the shape of your body, for Lewis it would be slender. And little muscle definition. Your body was toned and firm, with muscles that were there, though slight in size. You had gained more muscle in recent years. It was clear when compared to how you were when you were younger.
Are you okay?
You all right? Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about some things. What things? Just myself, my body, really. His eyebrow rose at your admission of self-reflection. And what do you think? What did you think of who you were? You considered your identity further. Ooh. You knew for sure that you were a man. You had no questions about that part. And you had a flat chest, never having developed breasts because of the hormone therapy you started in the past. Oh boy, I wish that were the case for me. I wish that being trans was something that was understood in the early 2000s so that someone could have looked at all of the obvious signs for me and been like, hey, maybe we should put him on, like, puberty blockers? Maybe so he doesn't have to go through all this horrible, like, body-changing stuff without really knowing if he's gonna be okay with that. God, wouldn't that have been great? At least the world is moving towards that nowadays. That makes me optimistic, at least, that there's more kids who actually have access to things like puberty blockers when they're younger, so they can actually have time to think about their own identity and just explore and be themselves and not have to worry about having horrible dysphoria and life-changing things happen just because nobody understands that that's a thing. Ugh. Yeah. Not yet, they're working on it. Okay, so the DLC, yeah, is coming later. That's cool. Something to look forward to. Since there's only 5 of them, honestly, I'll probably be able to go back and do all the kids stuff, so we'll probably end up running through the game again later. It's gonna be lots of our life content. Cove's car has the brain cell. Oh god. And that was exactly the way you wanted it to be. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. You were comfortable in yours. Your body was you, and it was a good one that you felt content in. You'd pretty much always felt good in your body. It was that way through your main growing years, and now that you were an adult, you didn't see that changing anytime soon. You focused on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, a question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer, but before you could, he had something to say. You had something to say to him. Aww. What do you think about me? About how I look, I mean. Cove smirked a little, his eyes taking you in easily. Oh. Fishing for compliments, Lewis? There's a hair on my screen that looks like a mustache on his face, and I just saw it. Jeez. You look great. Everyone knows that, including you, by the way. Unless that's changed? You laughed. You weren't sure why you were surprised he responded with that. Cove shook his head. His hand went up to try to unsubtly cover his smile. I was kind of worried you were so in your own head because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad.
Hey.
Hey, Lewis. Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms. You're looking particularly toned today. Oh my god, man, jeez. Just being real forward. It's... He answered not with words, but a solid okay sign with both hands, and the same cheeky smile. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he'd complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. You were a little taken aback. That came out of nowhere. It's not like there's been literal years of build-up to us having some kind of really big bond in chemistry. How surprising and out of nowhere. You glanced at him. You like that? Yeah. Yeah, you like that? Cove really out here drinking his loving Lewis juice for every meal, huh? Oh yes, absolutely. You started to flex. Oh my god, you flirtatiously stretched. You stood there stunned. You're so sweet and fantastic. You flirtatiously stretched. You fluttered your eyelashes and slowly stretched your arms out in front of you toward him. Your sleeve fell down, but instead of fixing it, you let it stay that way. For some reason, I assumed I was shirtless in this scene because he was looking at my body, but never mind. You looked Cove straight in the eye as you openly displayed your arms. Cove turned bright red and jumped to his feet. His towel dropped to the ground as he practically flew over to you. He looked at your arms and then tried to gently nudge them back down. Yeah, you can stop now. Really. He laughed nervously and flailed a little. You took pity on him and stopped displaying yourself. You'd gotten the reaction you wanted. Jesus Christ, Cove. Oh, jeez, these two. He retreated back to sitting on the windowsill and retrieved his towel, head hung low to try and hide his expression. Finally, you felt that was enough of that topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you'd gotten sidetracked. You needed to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. You wanted to wear your wetsuit. Swim trunks, no shirt, yes. While you dug around in your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. Sunglasses, because I'm a cool kid. Hell yeah, goggles. I always take goggles when I go swimming when the water's clear. With that taken care of, you held your outfit together and looked to Cove. He was tapping his toes on the side of the wall as he waited. You vaguely wondered if he thought that was a comfortable place to sit. You hoped so, given how long he'd perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You weren't going to put on your beachwear with him just chilling there. It's not like we're that close. I need to change. Cove smiled, content with being kicked out. Alright. Cove lowered himself off the window and strolled past you to get to the door.
Bye.
I'll see you out front. Okay. When you were alone, you got undressed and put your swimwear on. You also checked your beach bag for the final time, and it seemed like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock your front door and walked outside. Cove stood in the road, looking down and scuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Hey. Hi. Miranda and Terry are gonna be here in not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly on schedule.
Well,
Why don't we just head to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready. That sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cove shot off a quick text telling the two of them where you'd be. Cove gave you a thumbs up after the message sent. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cove laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out into the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. You all had lucked out. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear and the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day, but with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect.
so?
Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just down the shore? Or do you want to do something here? Good question, Cove. Let's go to the water. Well, maybe we should just take a stroll before the others get here. Yeah, take a stroll. I don't mind my feet being in the water. You wiggled your toes in response to the You wiggled your toes in response to the comment and looked off into the shoreline. Cove nodded, accepting of the plan. He kicked some sand off his towel absent-mindedly. Yeah, sounds nice. You took a deep breath and smelled the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little before a comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight for you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, laughing with her towel clutched around her shoulders, flowing like a cape. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and precarious as she got closer. Cove waved them on with a bright grin. You laughed. They always found a way to make such a memorable entrance. The two officially arrived at Cove's in your setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and were raring to go. Hey Terry, Miranda, welcome to our beach.
Hey!
Hi! Hello, hello! She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I am so pumped. Yeah, I'm really glad this worked out. What have you guys been up to over here in your town? Cove, Lewis? Have we missed things? Cove blinked, then shrugged when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. He gave her a recap over how your family was doing. Your moms were the same as ever for the most part, although they were definitely still adjusting to you being an adult now. Liz had asked you to take pictures of her latest makeup look the other day. There was nothing too dramatic going on right now. Terry nodded along and mentioned a couple things about her own parents. Miranda brought up her family and shared some of the wild things her older brother had done. Terry then started talking about her morning and how she'd almost overslept since she had stayed up too late last night. She bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about me being tired today. You know I ran on less back during school. Miranda filled in the group about her morning. Apparently, everything had gone smoothly. She'd met up with Terry on the way here, and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls. Hey, let's walk while we catch up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. You felt pleased that Cove remembered what you wanted to do. Sometimes he could be thoughtful like that. Once everyone's stuff was settled on the beach, the group strolled over to the shoreline. The wet sand was cool under your feet. I don't know why I assumed when he was asking what we wanted to do, he was asking what we should do till they got here. I probably would have just picked water otherwise, but whatever. A wave rushed up and covered your ankles in water. You flinched from the suddenness of this, but by the next wave you were acclimated. You took another step forward and sank a little into the ground. Behind you, your footprints were soon smoothed by the waves. Your friends chatted as you all walked together. You took turns pointing out cool shells or pieces of sea glass. It was a relaxing jaunt. Hours passed and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exhaustive. For you, it was another break time. You sat on your towel and sipped some water. Your friends were hard at work burying Terry's full body under a pile. Miranda used her arms to force up sand around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still noticeable even behind your eyelids. You checked to see Cove had joined you there. He knelt down to dig around in the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on the towel. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream. Hey. After he finished, Cove let out a comfortable sigh and took off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time in an exaggeratedly disappointed way. You wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically if you didn't say anything. Oh, Cove, whatever it is, I'm sure it's gonna be okay, you joked. After all, this is an excellent place to hide a body. You gestured to Terry, who was practically just a hill of sand with a human head at this point. That got a quick chuckle out of him, but he quickly hid his amusement. Cove shook his head, comically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all. Now you were really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was the most ridiculously sad sigh you had ever heard. Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real. What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continued. You know how much I liked mermaids as a kid. Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hoped that they were out there.
I mean...
The ocean's a big place, right? They could be. Somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over to the waterline and the rolling waves. They crashed against the shoreline and then drew back. This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least we would have heard of someone else seeing one. But nothing. He acted as though the result was a true bafflement. He let his head hang. I gotta let the dream go. That's hardly proof. It's not like this is the only beach in the world. You shook your head. No. There we go. They could still exist. As you said, the ocean is a big place. Cove chuckled a little to himself, eye tilted off into the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a merperson did happen to wash up on shore one day. He looked at you with a faux doleful expression. I could have lost my best friend to their magical underwater world. Even if I had the chance, I'd stay on shore with you. Cove's eyes widened with amazement.
Really?
You'd pick me? A plain human over a beautiful mythic merperson? He smiled and continued, very clearly joking around at this point. Are you sure that's the right call? If a beautiful, kind merperson falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, no thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with a normal guy. Are you warning me that you'd leave if you got that kind of offer? You don't want me to be blindsided when you ditch me for a mer creature if they're real? No, that isn't what I'm trying to say. I'm not the one who'd have to deal with that, you know. It isn't the same kind of thing. If a merperson did magically appear, there's no chance it'd be me they'd call for. As if, Cove, okay. The more Cove spoke, the more it sounded like he could be Merfolk himself. He was choking on air, a fish out of water. I mean, you're the one who's charming and talented. He barely eked the last words out. Oh my god, Cove. This is so cute and stupid. I love him. There isn't anyone who wouldn't choose you. Oh. The correct response. Oh. You were completely flattered by how highly he thought of you. And then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up on this now?
No way.
No way, the burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure. I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot her a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation, and the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With 3 people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh yeah! Resembling the Kool-Aid Man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Resembling the Kool-Aid Man, that is the best line in any visual novel ever. Sand went flying in all directions, and a Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The 4 of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest, while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games, to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had ran out of water. Drinkable water, anyway. It was decided that you'd head to your or Cove's house. Things were gathered, and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever. Same. I guess we can keep hanging out. Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her thighs. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued, with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in inspection. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overtly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a mealtime. We could get dessert? Miranda put a finger to her lip in thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun. Terry considered it, then shot Miranda a thumbs up.
Sure.
Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. I think that's a good idea. But there's nothing sweet at my house. Your friends glanced at Cove in his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes. Ew, no! She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Cove smirked.
Not bad.
It's not that bad.
Nope.
Nope.
Well.
Well, there has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look it up. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued to rummage in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. Oh no, did she lose her phone? With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration.
I'm on it.
I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet, hefting the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But she assessed Cove and you from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little. I'll grab something. You nodded as well. You weren't exactly restaurant ready like this. Cove moved over to his house. You looked toward yours. You ran into your house. No one was home, so you just rushed to your room and dropped off your beach stuff on your bed. Let's just say that I completely changed into casual clothes. Sure, we're here anyways. You stripped and found a suitable outfit to hang out in. You slipped it on and felt satisfied with your decision. With that, you sped back outside. Cove was already there and gathered around Terry's phone with the girls. Actually, you know what? Everyone else is wearing their swimsuits. Fuck it, I'm just gonna throw on a shirt. Doesn't matter. He opted to just add a shirt and shoes, apparently putting in the minimum effort for service. Hello again.
Hey.
You don't really want ice cream, do you? You didn't have a chance to answer. She kept barreling through with her words. 'Cause I'm not into that right now.
That's cool.
Don't mind her. You look nice, by the way. Terry scrolled further, then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. She shoved her phone into your face. It seemed like a cute shop. It didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into presentation, with branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings.
Huh.
Weird. I've never heard of it. I haven't either. Mysterious. The crepes are so good. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos. I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive. Terry cheered at the success of a plan made, and you all walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. You wrote "wash me" in the dirt on his car. Nah, we'll just wait for him. Terry leaned back against the car door as the group stood by for his return. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face and he brushed it back. Shotgun! She clambered into the passenger seat without hesitation. You didn't argue and climbed into the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road once, and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn, but with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. God, what a mood. Oh, there was one time I had to drive to my dad's for the first time by myself, and he lived out in the middle of, like, way in a small town, out of town from where I am. So I put on my Google Maps. I'm like, whatever. Like, I know the path mostly, but I'll just follow the maps. And at one point, it took me down, like, a dirt farm path that, like, wasn't even an actual road. It was so bumpy, I was worried that I had ended up, like, busting the bottom of my car because it was such steep, like, bumps. But, oh, God. It was terrible. Google Maps, I tell ya. I tell ya. You were led to a small stall in a parking lot rather than a full building. That explained why there hadn't been pictures of the creperier's interior, and why it was new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to, and one for cars to drive up to. Can't read. Cove parked with a laugh.
Come on.
I don't think I needed to put on a shirt for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go.
What?
Do you not trust us to eat in your car? She gestured to the drive-thru option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I'd trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out? Everyone acknowledged his point and piled out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently, they'd been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be cake icing. That's sweet.
So great.
Literally. It was so good, but I regretted it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried. You can do it this time, Randy. Got a whole creperie menu. Man, I want to go to a creperie sometime. I know there's one somewhere in town, but obviously, now is not the time to be going out to places, so I'll have to wait for that. I think I've had crepes once in my life. It was like Nutella filled. It was really good. There were some laughs. When you got up to the menu, you realized that there were more than just crepes. There were definitely crepes. Many crepes. However, the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes.
Woo!
Jackpot! She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made, then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched in a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. You ordered a crepe and a drink. Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you taking the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted a chocolate, of course. For the filling and toppings, you picked... Oh, wait, that's like the batter. Oh, God, I'm gonna get... Mine's just gonna be obnoxiously sweet. With whipped cream and chocolate syrup and powdered sugar and caramel syrup. And that was all. Vegetables, who would ever? After you picked the size, you were asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered... What did I ordered? What did I ordered? Vanilla milkshake, just to be obnoxious with everything sweet. You could also add a mix in or toppings for the drink. Yeah, let's get some whipped cream in there as well. Why not? Let's just give myself like a heart attack with all this sugar. You paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Oh, God. I'm just sitting here with like 10 layers of sugar on mine. Vegetables, who would ever? Me? Who the hell is putting veggies in the crepe? Oh, sorry, did I say vegetables? I meant fruit. Well, vegetables and fruit. Either. Who would ever? I'm here for dessert, gosh dang it. I just want sweets. Terry went crazy with toppings. Although she had ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. I'm just sitting here with like the most sugar-filled, obnoxious one of all. Oh, God. The four of you stood up to the side as you waited for your treats. I heard what you ordered, Lewis. I'm glad I'm not the only one going for a drink and a crepe. I couldn't pick just one, and why not? Exactly. It's gonna be good. Lewis, man, your crepe is gonna rock. High five for topping appreciation. She held out her hand expectantly. You gave her a high five. Oh, actually, no, I fist bumped her palm. Terry stared at your hands. She blinked. She looked between Miranda and you. Is this just a thing now? I don't know what you mean. Miranda's voice was surprisingly serious, while her face looked like she was seconds away from laughing. Terry shook her head dramatically. Order for Lewis. Oh, I gotta get that. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded acceptingly, with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an intent to make it look nice, but with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and happily sighed. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. They had both only gotten one thing, probably because they knew they'd end up sharing. Cove went over to you, and there was a definite interest in his eyes at your order. As if this isn't something we've done before, like that last time we were at the mall when we were kids, and I almost tried to take his drink right out of his mouth. But we're just friends. We're just friends. We're just friends. Well, I just want to say you can try mine. It's pretty good and summery. You tasted his and shared yours. He handed you his crepe first, and you tore off a piece and bit it into your mouth. It was tart from the lemon, but the syrupy berry mix brought in the sweetness. The balance between the thin, almost spongy crepe and the juicy toppings made for a unique set of textures. You passed him yours and he tilted his smoothie over. You took a sip and had to suck up a large strawberry chunk before the actual smoothie came up the straw. It was mostly smooth, with the delightful tiny crystals of ice and the occasional bit of fresh strawberry. It matched well with the crepe and even more the berryness. Cove enjoyed his sampling too. He had a giant smile on his face and looked almost disappointed when you swapped back your treats. It's because mine is just pure sugar. Like, obviously it's good. That's just accurate to how I order everything in real life, let's be real. With that, Cove started to eat his treats in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, then without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. His habit of mixing foods together wasn't anything new. He hummed in satisfaction, so you guessed he must have liked the combined flavor. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove.
So?
Care to make a trade? Sure. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe bits and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. You kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. Oh hey, it's the sign where we almost ended up getting lost as children. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently, you were about to just walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off Miranda's straw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible! Preposterous! How are we already at the end? I always forget how tiny this town really is. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe.
I guess.
It kinda is, huh? It didn't feel that small when we were growing up. It definitely felt bigger then. There was a time when Sunset Bird had felt huge. It seemed as endless as the ocean. There was always some street you hadn't wandered down, something new for the tourists. But now, you would realize it was just a pond in the big, big world. Seeing the definite end only reinforced this. Here was the boundary that proved your hometown could be walked out of with ease. I guess that means we should probably head back. One doesn't just walk into nowhere land. One does not simply. We're not only one, Terry, there's four of us. Terry scrunched up her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. It stinks having to go all the way back. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out in that direction. And if we did keep going forward, it'd be an even longer trip home. You stared off into the stretch of road as Cove agreed that he didn't want to go any further. Can we take a break here before we turn around? We've been walking for a while and someone finished my drink. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked air from the straw. It was so good, though. Miranda looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang around the sign before heading back to the car. Imagine working at a crepe stand and someone comes and orders like a fucking broccoli carrot crepe. That's Cal's secret crepe order. Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's what I get in my crepes. Oh, jeez. Broccoli carrot. Yeah, that probably would be one of the weirdest things you could order from a crepe shop. You just go up there and be like, hey, I'd like a crepe. For sure, what do you want on it? Let's see, broccoli, carrots. I think maybe you could put some, like, spinach on there. Maybe, like, some celery. I think someone misunderstood crepe as being, like, a wrap or something. Oh, jeez. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up the trash and stuffed it into bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping account of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. 14. The newest passing car drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down and you watched as it ultimately rolled to a complete stop. Ooh, who could it be? The black car parked right by the now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. By then, the tinted window rolled down and the driver peered out. As soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else you knew presented themselves so distinctively. I figured as much. Hey, neighbors. Cove also jolted with recognition. He passed on a cordial smile and waved politely. Afterwards, he put his mouth back over the straw of his long, empty drink as if trying to act cool. I don't want to be mean, but we're not excited to see him. You waved at him. You leaned forward and tried to get a better look. His hands were loose on his steering wheel, and he seemed rather relaxed to have just pulled over onto the side of the road. You waved, and he nodded in acknowledgement. And you thought about the odd picture this made. A fancy black car pulled over to talk to a group of teens mostly still in beachwear. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head in an unspoken question. Cove made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry.
All right.
Ah, this is the new person in the condo. The bee-man, right? Yeah, Baxter.
Oh,
Oh, I wasn't sure if I'd ever actually see him. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quite the opposite. Incredible, this is perfect! Terry hopped up from the grass and ran to Baxter's car, all full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted off imaginary dirt off her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded with clenched fist, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter through his window. She blasted through introductions, with Miranda putting in a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He still clearly had no intention of going over. Drowned in maple syrup. Yum, broccoli, carrot, maple syrup. That sounds great. Ugh, that sounds horrible. Maple syrup on vegetables in a crepe. I could do without. I could do without that one personally. Do I really want to go see Baxter? I kind of like that I feel like he makes Cove a little bit jealous. As bad as that sounds. So yeah, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go on and see him. Cove pouted, his cheeks flared out in a childish puff. I don't want to. I don't know what to say.
Fine.
You can go. I'll just wait until he's gone. He really should come. You can do it. Do you want to be the only person who doesn't go see him? Well, why can't you stay here with me instead? You sighed. He was definitely going to be difficult about this. Someday he really was that same grouchy 8-year-old you met all those years ago. Do you really hate him that much?
No.
No, I don't hate him. I get weird around him. I know his forwardness bothers you, but think of him like Terry. She's super friendly and loves to chat with new people. She's doing it right now. Terry doesn't hit on me. Terry doesn't hit on you. If that's what he's even doing. Oh, so it is because he hits on me. Okay. Oh, Cal, do you think it's weird to put maple syrup on ice cream? No, not really. I mean, I haven't done it personally, but like syrup on ice cream makes sense. Honestly, that would probably help like thicken the maple syrup now that I think about it, which is the one thing I don't like about maple syrup, which is that it's runny, so yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good idea. I mean, God, one of my favorite treats in the whole wide world, maple syrup taffy, is like just you like boil maple syrup and you pour it on the snow to get it all tacky and good. So like, I mean, that's like almost the same thing. So yeah, no, I fully approve of that. Hella, thanks for validating me. I mean, hey, honestly, I think I should try that sometime. I've thought about it. That sounds really good. Especially like if you put it on like vanilla ice cream, that'd be pretty good. One time I put maple syrup in my tea, it was pretty magical. That sounds like that would be pretty good. I'm not even big on tea, but I don't know. That'd be pretty good. Well, not that kind of tea, if you know what I'm saying. Trans joke. Where's the cat? I know. You only come to these streams for my son. He was here a minute ago. I actually don't know where he is today. Usually he's back there. If I had to wager a guess, he's probably asleep in my booth. But, you know, I could go get him. If you really want me to go get him, I can go get him. Because I don't think he'll have been asleep for very long, given that, like, he was here a minute ago. So if you want me to go get him, I could go get him. We'll see, maybe. Back to Cove being jealous. Baxter says serious things when I don't think he's actually very serious. That's what bothers me. It'll be alright. He's tried to do less of that with you, and we'll all be there. With an unnecessarily whiny groan, he relented. Fine. Let's go. Slowly, progress forward was made, until you two arrived at the driver's sidecar window. Baxter smiled welcomingly. Hello. Hey. Cove greeted him mildly, his expression cautious. Howdy, Baxter. Baxter gestured to Miranda and Terry. I just rented this car for my stay here and was coming back from a bit of sightseeing when I spotted your crowd. Then these two were kindly introducing themselves.
Uh-huh.
Yep, it's only polite. Speaking of polite, Baxter is giving us a ride. I was just asking him to. What? Baxter shrugged guiltily, seeing Cove's dramatic reaction. The offer is open, and we're taking it. Okay. You were just happy to get a ride. Regardless of anything else, you didn't have to walk back. That's what counted, and you were grateful to Terry for arranging it. Alrighty, plan made. Let's hop in. Oh my god, fancy car. He got them leather seats. Wow. His tea isn't even his boy fuel. It's just maple syrup in a syringe. I mean, it's like, it's almost the color. It's like yellow, right? If it was just darker, then I would be like, oh my god, I could see it. Maple syrup just makes me a strong, manly man. As we all know, maple syrup is the manliest of toppings. Of course. You excitedly opened the passenger side door and buckled yourself in. Oh, wait, is this implying that I'm sitting in the front with Baxter? Oh, Cove's not gonna like that. The maple syrup helps keep him Canadian. It's like some kind of like magic thing where if I don't drink enough maple syrup, slowly my Canadianness will like fade away from me. I'll start speaking in like a thick American accent. I'll start being more crotchety and mean. Oh, jeez. Baxter had the air conditioner on cold, but low so it was pleasantly cool inside. A nice relief from the summer sun you'd been baking in all day. Your friends clambered on in back. It definitely seemed the slightest bit squished back there.
Does that sound alright?
Baxter. Welcome to my vehicle. I hope everyone is comfortable. And if someone could point me in the right direction, we can be on our way. Terry went back to navigator mode and outlined their journey. It was basically a straight line with one turn at the end into the parking lot. Baxter nodded from up in the driver's seat and pulled back onto the road. Luckily, the street was still dead empty. Where was Baxter coming from, though, that he was coming from the middle of nowhere? Now I'm curious. American accent. He's gonna get like a fucking New York accent. Bada bing, bada boom. Forget about it. Hey, forget about it. That would be horrifying if I just suddenly started breaking out into like a stereotypical like Texas or New York accent, and then I'd just be like, oh, sorry guys, I have to go, and then I like close the stream and go down a bottle of maple syrup. I mean, that doesn't happen. You guys are so silly. Oh, jeez. It took no time at all for Baxter to park right next to Cove's car. There wasn't even enough time for a proper conversation to start. The occupants didn't seem to mind. There were smiles all around when Baxter parked next to Cove's car. Woo! Miranda clapped quietly as Terry cheered. Cove chuckled nervously. I'm not going to nudge Baxter in a friendly way. I want to make Cove jealous, but not that jealous. You smiled. You were glad to have reached your destination and pleased at the fanfare of your friends. You didn't say a word, but Terry and Miranda definitely caught your amusement. We've arrived. That was easy. He just has an easy button in his car, and he's just like, we've arrived. That was easy. Terry flung open her door and climbed down.
Thanks.
Everyone else exited the car as well. The group thanks Baxter with various degrees of enthusiasm. Oh my god, I can't speak. Baxter himself got out too. Everyone congregated again in front of Baxter's and Cove's cars. Yeah. Terry bounced over to Baxter and offered her hand for a handshake. He accepted it easily with a charming grin. You're a pal. You're too kind. It was no trouble whatsoever. I'll be keeping this car all summer. If it suits you, you're welcome to take my number and give me a ring whenever you're in need of another ride. And that goes for everyone here. I have a car. Cove, oh my god. Terry busted into laughter, and Miranda fidgeted. She did not know what to do with that. Baxter really went fast, didn't he? He noticed her discomfort and smiled with a soft tilt of his head. I'd be happy to help again, but that's the only reason I offered. If you don't need it, you can pass on it. I feel like if I asked for his number, Cove would not enjoy that. I almost want to see him get jealous, though. His voice cracked and he's like, I need my gamer juice, and he just downs the bottle of Mrs. Butterworth on stream. Don't call me out for liking Mrs. Buttersworth. It's good. Do you want me to go get the bottle of Mrs. Buttersworth? Do you want me to go pour some of that into my mouth? I'll do it. I'm not a coward. Yes, you do want me to do it. Does that violate Twitch terms to just start guzzling syrup on stream? You know what? I'll at least go get it to prove to you that I have Mrs. Buttersworth. Hold on. I'll be back in a second. You asked for it. There she is. Mrs. Buttersworth herself. Put the sticky stuff in your mouth. If you can't tell, I do like Mrs. Buttersworth because there's only half left. This was just from a couple of days worth of pancakes. You really want me to drink this, huh? You really want me to drink this Mrs. Buttersworth on stream? Is this what I've come to? Is this what I'm doing now with my life? Twitch staff reviewing footage of you chugging maple syrup before they give you affiliate drinker. Jesus, what is this peer pressure? She's not even maple syrup. She's just like thick corn syrup, which I like. I can't believe I'm about to actually do this. Fine. I live alone, so it's not like anyone else is getting my mouth germs from this, whatever. Or it's actually really good, of course, because it's Mrs. Buttersworth. Are you happy? Was that enough for you? Are you happy that you've peer pressured me? She's thick, all right. Jesus Christ, Bagel. Well, she'll be here for the rest of the stream, just looking at me from the corner of my vision, just so you're all aware. I've got her turned, don't worry, so she is looking at me. Oh, that was so much. A mouthful of Mrs. Buttersworth, if you know what I'm saying. Jesus Christ. He's not even phased. Are you kidding me? I could eat Mrs. Buttersworth all day. Not like that. Shut up. Jesus Christ. What am I doing? Anyways, back to deciding if we... Okay, if Cove doesn't react, I'm not going to ask for his number, but if he reacts jealously, then I will. I just want to see.
Absolutely.
Blah, blah.
What? What?
No, he doesn't... no, I'm sad. He doesn't... I want him to be jealous. Why do I want Cove to be jealous? Okay, yeah, so I'll just stay silent. When her giggles subsided, Terry put a hand to her chin with brows furrowed. I wonder. Would that option be available right now? You could valet us somewhere cool.
What?
Cove's just upsetty spaghetti. Cove was taken aback. He put a hand on the hood of his car. Weren't we going back to the neighborhood? Wasn't Baxter going back to the neighborhood too? Why would we go somewhere else? Because we can. Miranda squirmed nervously and then committed to piping up.
Maybe?
We could go to the park near my place. It's a really nice place to hang out. You and Cove shared a look. The big park was pretty nice. Let's do it. Baxter tapped the side of his face and thought.
It's doable.
He glanced at Cove, then switched focus to you.
Well,
we have 2 cars. If some people want to go to the park, I could still take the others home. But if everyone's going, it wouldn't make sense for me not to. Ooh, do we go back to the neighborhood with Cove or continue the hangout session at the park? Well, I don't know if it... I don't want to end this right now if there's the opportunity for more interactions. But if we get some alone time with Cove, We'll see if we can go for some alone time with Cove, but if that doesn't work, then we'll just load and we'll try again. Also, I just realized that Baxter has ripped pants really close to his crotch. You decide to go back to the neighborhood with Cove. You'd rather go back for now. You let the group know. Both girls frowned. Neither wanted to leave you or Cove behind. Terry especially looked troubled and started bouncing in place.
No.
Today's all about us hanging out. We can't just bail. Miranda nodded and bit her lip. We don't have to go to the park. Going back to the neighborhood has plenty of appeal. It could prove to be the better idea. Cove winced and shook his head.
Don't worry about it.
No, really, it's fine. We've done plenty of hanging out today. If you want to go to the park, you should. You don't have to worry about us. Go have fun with Baxter. Okay. She didn't sound too thrilled, and Miranda patted her on the shoulder.
Okay.
Guess we'll see you later then? Probably. Cove smiled, and she rolled her eyes at his wishy-washy answer. He knew you'd be seeing them again. Everyone finished saying their goodbyes, and the 3 climbed into Baxter's car. You waved. Terry waved back with both hands enthusiastically, while Miranda waved like a princess from the back seat. Before Baxter drove up, he inclined his head to you and Cove. Then Baxter rolled down his own window.
See you.
Have a safe journey back. I'll see you around the neighborhood. Baxter started to pull out of the parking lot, and Cove waved them off, stepping forward as they pulled away. Then it was just you and Cove in the parking lot. He rubbed his hands together for a moment and unlocked his car. You got into the shotgun seat this time, and Cove took his place at the wheel. He put his key in the ignition and turned to you. I'm surprised you didn't want to go. Actually, I only wanted to go so that you had a reason to leave. Cove's eyebrows raised in surprise. The expression held so much bewilderment that you felt a need to explain. I know you. You can't be a social butterfly forever, and you were looking kinda done. Cove's brows creased, and finding words took him a minute. Aw, Lewis. He put a hand on his heart and beamed. Thank you. You take good care of me. Yeah, of course. You deserve a little taken care of sometime. Cove smiled, satisfied, and finally turned his key to start the car. The car ride back passed quickly. They were all familiar roads you'd seen before. Soon you'd return to the comfort of your own neighborhood. Cove pulled in and parked. He shut off his car, then you both got out to stand in the road.
I guess.
I guess that's it. Thanks for the ride, Cove. I'll see you later. Uh-huh. It was fun. Pleasant farewells given, you walked to your front door. You completely changed out of your swimsuit and into more comfortable clothes. That was definitely a benefit of coming back. Time ticked by as the sun started to set. Orange gold light streamed in through the windows. You could tell the weather was still really nice out there. Your attention was taken by your phone. It vibrated on your desk. You went over to see what was going on with that. Hi, Lewis. We're going to see fireworks. You want to come? Oh. And Terry texted Cove. He said he'll be there. How did their trip start at hanging out in the park and end at finding some previously unknown fireworks spectacle? It was definitely news to you. Fireworks? I'd love to. No, sorry. I'd love to. Fireworks was kind of out of the blue, but sounded like a lot of fun. That was something you couldn't miss. Miranda sent back a cheery smiley face not even 5 seconds later. Then you got a yay, and she sent another message that told you that Cove would be out at his car soon. You quickly got yourself ready and headed out into the world once more. On the way, you sent a message to Cove that you were coming. He texted that he was already outside. He was just waiting for me right outside the door already. Just as promised, Cove was waiting by his car. He hadn't bothered to change at all. He was quite comfortable going around in swim shorts. He slipped his phone into his pocket and waved you over. Without needing to say a thing, you got into the shotgun seat. Cove looked over to you from the driver's side and smirked as he started up the car. Here we go again. Yep. He pulled out into the road and raced toward the city as the sun continued to sink below the horizon. When city lights sparkled around you, Cove started looking for a parking spot. It'd been a smooth drive, but unfortunately finding parking was a task. You tried to text Miranda to see where they had parked, but she admitted that there hadn't been any openings around there. They'd gotten lucky with one single spot. Cove had to drive around a few blocks, but finally you spotted something. He pulled in and parked, feeling just as triumphant as if he'd won an actual prize. Terry sent you a text saying to hurry up and get to the waterfront. Miranda attached a helpful picture of where they were. You pointed the way to Cove, and the two of you jogged around a bend and then down the brick-lined walkway. Eventually, you saw 3 silhouettes in the distance. They started to wave and yell, and one of them jumped in place with her arms going back and forth. It had to be your friends. You rushed over to them. Miranda and Terry ran up to meet you halfway, with faces full of smiles.
Hey!
We missed you! Buddies! I knew the day wasn't over for us. Hey. Guess you were right. I'm happy we made it. Baxter had stepped up at some point, too. He ran a hand through his hair, trying not to interrupt the reunion. Hello. Hey. Cove gave him a nod. With the band back together, the group walked back to the area where Baxter, Miranda, and Terry had originally set up. It was a quiet, open area on the waterfront. Cove let out a relieved sigh after things calmed down. So, did we miss anything?
Nah.
Nah, you're good. Nothing's happened yet. We think it's gonna start really soon, though. What are these fireworks even for? Well, she smiled a big grin at Miranda. Randy talked about watching fireworks at the park, and that reminded me about how there's this big company that's having an event tonight. I heard they were gonna have fireworks. There's no way we were ever getting into that party, but she put a finger up and her smile turned devious.
We're cool.
I'm positive we'll still be able to see the fireworks from here. They can't hide explosions in the sky from the public. That's ridiculous. You suddenly wondered how Terry had convinced Cove to come without prior explanation. He was utterly stunned that this was the source of the fireworks. To be fair, you hadn't asked Miranda for details either. Cove scratched his head in defeat.
I mean...
I guess we're already here. It's kinda too late now. You bet your wet blanket it's too late. She shook her head with exasperation, but let him off with minimal teasing. you felt excited. The spontaneity of the whole thing combined with the amazement of fireworks was a recipe for you to be bursting with anticipation. It couldn't start soon enough. Terry led Miranda to sit down on the oval slabs along the path. Miranda took a seat and began tapping her knees together as she waited. Terry, meanwhile, crouched more than sat. Baxter smiled politely and looked from you to Cove. He seemed to be waiting for one of you to speak first rather than wanting to directly start a conversation. You know, to be fair to Baxter, he does genuinely seem to be trying to be as respectful of Cove as he possibly can, despite knowing that his personality puts Cove off. So, you know, that's pretty good of him. Something seemed to strike Cove as he tried unsuccessfully to hide a smile. Most of us are in swimsuits. Wearing beachwear in the middle of the city in the dark while waiting for a fireworks show was clearly the joke of the day for him. Cove snorted once again and then looked back up at the sky. A flash lit up the sky with a brilliant green. Your eyes flew off the building in the distance and silently watched with bated breath. You heard a second boom and a red firework lit up the night. Woo! The show is starting! It's so pretty! They came running over to get closer, positively beaming. Terry pressed herself to the waterfront fence, getting as close as physically possible without going swimming again. More fireworks went off, shooting out hundreds of tiny sparkling lights. The colors stood out starkly against the dark of the night. The biggest ones washed your surroundings with their hue, turning your world blue, then red, then golden.
Welcome.
Did I deliver, or did I deliver? Miranda's eyes glittered, and she lightly bumped Terry with her hip. Good job. Terry stumbled at the friendly nudge, but was pleased with the compliment. She grinned back. Miranda lightly swung her hips the opposite way to give you a bump as well. It was friendly and soft.
Woo!
We did it! You smiled at her and nodded. You were pleased that you hadn't missed any of the show after all. Despite how unorthodox the impromptu fireworks plan had been, you were ecstatic it worked out. Luckily, you arrived in time and it was shaping up to be a particularly colorful fireworks show. The rest of the group huddled around the railing to take in the show as closely as possible. Miranda stood close by. Terry's hands gripped the top. Cove laid his arms across it while leaning forward, and Baxter rested his elbows on the rail, putting his back towards the fireworks. He seemed to have more fun watching the others than the actual show. Ooh! She pointed out a golden firework and beamed. Ah, that's so cool! Terry held up a hand for a high five, and Miranda obliged her. Terry whooped and shot you a smile. What color do you think the next one will be? Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately. Green. It was orange. Baxter chuckled, but wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your favorite color? Green?
That's...
It's one of them. I think that's nice. It matches you. And is yours black? That's one of them. Cove smirked just a little and left the conversation there. Of course you stood next to Cove. What do you think? Cove looked away from the fireworks and grinned at you. He was glad to be spending time with you and tilted his head at a spectacular, multicolored firework above. I think that's been my favorite so far. He shot you another look and nodded, wanting you to move up closer. Aw. In front of him, you could see the night's lights reflected on the water. You leaned your body against Cove. You rested against his side and let yourself relax. He felt solid and sturdy beside you. It was comfortable. You took a moment to watch him, and the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Cove grinned like a kid. Cove's gaze drifted from the show of dazzling lights straight at you, and he sighed dreamily. You didn't know when you'd last seen him so blissful. The spectacle continued to up the ante by having more fireworks out at a time. The colors danced across the sky and reflected over the water. You reached out a hand and watched as it was tinted green while a big boom surrounded it. Fireworks were a normal summer tradition, but this was admittedly an unconventional approach. Showing up in the city last minute to watch a display from a technically private event, that made this feel special in a way that just planning to go to a public fireworks show never would. Terry's idea may not have left you with a lot of time to prepare, but it sure led to a unique situation. It was clear that this was an unforgettable night. As the finale sounded, blazing the sky with unbelievable beauty, you remembered thinking that there might never be a night exactly like this one again. Not for the rest of your life. You planned to hold on to the feelings you had in that moment for as long as you could. Aww. That was cute. And long. That was honestly one of the longest ones. With that said, I am going to, I think, end it here today. Because I did promise Alex I'd play Stardew Valley with them today, so... Bit of a shorter stream for a change, as opposed to my usual, like, 2 to 4 hours. Got an hour and a half. But, with that said, thank you all very much for coming and chilling with me. As usual, I will be back again on Saturday, same time as ever. I also have rendered the very first stream that I did as a video, and I will post it on an archive channel once I have it, and I will link it on my Twitter at the very least, maybe on here as well, I don't know, but I'll actually have an archive channel for these old streams soon, so you can go back and watch them if you want to. But yeah, other than that, thank you to anyone who came and chilled. It was very nice. This was a nice chill one. And my mouth feels weird and numb from eating that Mrs. Buttersworth. So thanks again for peer pressuring me into doing that, Alex and Bagel. And yeah, guess I'll see you all next time. Bye!